Thank you very much, Ahmad, for the kind introduction. Hello, everyone, and a very good afternoon. My name is Kamala Ernest. I'm with the UN Environment, based in Nairobi, Kenya. Unfortunately, I can't see you all. Hope you can see and hear me well. So I'm in charge of the transport activities in the Middle East and West Asia, and we work very closely with SEDARE as our regional implementing partner, and thus this workshop, which we are presenting together, the results of the fuel economy work which has been done by SEDARE over the past few months. It's also a great pleasure to present to you UN Environment's transport project, and especially our electric mobility work, which is in the initial stages of the program. It's our latest program, and there's a lot of enthusiasm on this topic. So we would like to share with you what we can offer, and also perhaps collaborate with Egypt in the future on this topic. So allow me to share my screen so I could start my presentation.
So thank you, Kamala. We're very happy to have you with us. And I would like to ask you to raise your voice as well in the presentation.
Yeah. Okay.
Very good.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, excellent. And you can share screens now?
Yes, I'm
perfect.
Sharing. So, yes, as I said, my presentation is on promoting electric mobility in developing countries, and I think this is one of the emerging component of the transport sector that may help reduce its negative environmental impact if it is well integrated in a well-designed and coordinated manner. So the UN Environment works towards a mandate to reduce negative environmental impact, and transport sector is a key issue. And here is a graph that tells the story on where we are in terms of light-duty vehicle growth rate. This trajectory, especially the chart which shows the area in red, which belongs to the developing countries, it is showing a very steep trajectory. Although as the current situation, the vehicle ownership is quite low in developing countries when compared to developed countries. But in the future, this scenario will change, and we are in 2016 where some decisions and actions need to be taken so that transport can grow in a sustainable path where equal access to mobility is provided in a sustainable manner. Well, the other issue that maybe this trajectory would also be a concern is, as you can see, traffic congestion in many major cities. This is because of rise in income, economic and socio-economic status, and so on. But a good example is Cairo, but many other cities would also follow the similar situation. So this was also impacting the GDP and so on. So we are looking at different approaches or factors that would influence mobility in the long run. And also why we promote electric mobility. There are two main issues. We are looking at local environment problems like emissions from dirty fuels, NOx, CO2, black carbon, particulate matter, and so on. And this has a major health impact. For example, there were 7 million people killed in 2012 because of air pollution. This is according to WHO. Also, particulate matter causes about 2.3 million premature deaths each year. So this is all a cost to the GDP. Plus, we also know that vehicular emissions, especially from diesel vehicles, are responsible for almost between 50 to 80% of particulate matter pollution in cities. So this is a major issue. And the other issue is on climate change. The link between transport and climate change is quite evident. Transport contributes a quarter of the global CO2 energy-related CO2 emissions. And out of this portion, you can see 73% is from road transport, and within road transport, more than half are from light-duty vehicles. So this is a key area of where we could address and try to reduce its environmental impact. So this is a study done by IEA, which says that to meet a 2-degree scenario for those who are in the climate change sector would know is to stabilize the planet's temperature rise, or to cap it within 2 degrees by 2050. And to fulfill this target, it is estimated that 20% of all road vehicles must be powered by electricity. So, if we are at 2020 now, in 2020 there should be about 20 million, and by 2030 we are talking about 100 million. So for this to happen, there should be some kind of a major disruption. Some small changes have already taken place. For example, major car manufacturers, Toyota, Volkswagen, and so on, they are now trying to phase out their diesel engines, and they're moving towards cleaner vehicle technologies, electric, hybrid, and so on. A lot of R&D on electric vehicle. Electric vehicle works, but I think the range, or how long it lasts, the durability, the reliability, there are a lot of questions about that, and that's being addressed. And just last week, 4 major cities, the mayors of Paris, Mexico City, Madrid, and Athens, announced that they will ban diesel vehicles by 2025 in a move to improve air quality. So many other cities might follow this, and this could be a major disruption that we are talking about for electric mobility to advance. So in terms of what we do at the UN environment, we try to promote an integrated approach. I think the concept of avoid, shift, and improve has been explained in the earlier presentations. So what we do, we have a stronger focus on shift and improve, with lesser interventions in the avoid part. We let our sister agency, UN Habitat, to take the lead on the avoid part. We have put a lot of faith in information technology, and that I did not travel to Egypt to be with you all. It is a sort of an transport avoidance, but still to meet the target of presenting the work we do at the UN environment. So in terms of shift, there's a list of things, shift and improve. We have the Global Fuel Economy Initiative, which Ahmad will present later, the findings. Share the Road is a non-motorized. Electric mobility is also looking at shift and improving. Partnerships of clean fuels and vehicles for lead phase out and promoting low sulfur diesel. And also we do the same for light duty and heavy duty vehicles, and also we are looking at ports as a hub. So basically this summarizes the work that we do, and it is very much linked to national level policy making. And as I said, the city level work is done together with other partners who have a better lead in this area. So this is just a snapshot of what we started this work in 2002, so that was mainly the focus was on lead phase out, and now there are only three remaining countries which are still leaded. Then we also did a global support for promoting low sulfur diesel. So there's a lot of progress that has been achieved from 2005 to 2016. Then we moved on to vehicle emission standards, which is complementary. It's not only talking about cleaning fuels. The vehicles also need to be up to date in terms of technology so that the net benefit of local environmental impacts can be achieved. So we have lots of resources on these three areas. And then I would like to focus on this where we are talking about mainly addressing emissions from the road transport sector. I think this is the situation we are looking at for Egypt. We are looking at in-use vehicles as well as new vehicles. For in-use, I think there are 4 factors that influence how in-use vehicles can be improved. One is the drivers themselves. Second is the introduction of cleaner fuels, including biofuels. And third is the vehicle aspects, where there is some measures in place to phase out older vehicles, preventive and maintenance program, inspection, and so on. I think Egypt is quite well covered in this area with these ongoing initiatives that you have in place. And the last factor is actually the road conditions and maintenance, which would also affect how efficient vehicles run on the road, operate on the road, and how it affects the environment. Now, on the new vehicle, which is where we worked with Sadari, which addresses the types of new vehicle which come in to ensure that they are efficient, and also Egypt or countries are not dumping ground for older technologies from other countries. Egypt already have a good policy on the new vehicles that come into the country, and there are 2 ways of addressing this or enhancing this further. And this is an important component of the transport as we are addressing in-use vehicles. There are a lot of new vehicles that are coming, and my first slide actually showed that in the future new vehicles will be the dominant in the market. So when you talk about emission standards, which I will go into detail in my next slides, would be on this electric mobility. When we talk about fuel quality of new vehicles, fuel economy or efficiency, we're talking about 2 types of intervention. That is fuel economy standards and also fuel labeling. And based on our study and also Ahmad's presentation, we'll talk about the fuel labeling, which is mainly an informative tool to empower consumers to make the right choice. While this is a good step, we hope that this is complemented also by standards to be in place. And now I would present more on our electric mobility work. We are focused on 4 areas, and this is based on our own research and also discussions with regional partner on what kind of interventions or support we can provide to countries. So the first one is on electric 2 and 3-wheelers. We see that the future transition for electric 2 and 3-wheelers is a low-hanging fruit. For example, if you see in China, there are already 250 million electric 2-wheelers on the road. And this is because some cities like Guangzhou and Chengdu, and also in some parts of Beijing, motorcycles have been banned. And as a result of phasing out that, electric 2-wheelers have been introduced, and this has been actually growing at a very high rate. So China is leading in this area. And of course, introduction of this has issues, but I think for electric 2-wheelers, it would be easily introduced within the existing infrastructure, and it can be seen as a first step for electric mobility. Then also, we look at two-wheelers. This is just a chart to show the comparison between a conventional scooter with electric scooter. The top part shows the CO2 emissions equivalent in the form of clouds. And then the bottom part is the particulate emission for the two systems. And you can see that the benefits of electric scooter, it was supposed to be actually zero emission, but when we take into consideration the national energy mix in the grid, so there is some minimal end-use emissions from the electric scooter. If not, it would be zero. So just to give you an idea on the comparison for the emissions. But I think also, which is not here, is the cost comparison is quite comparable. Electric scooters are also becoming cheaper and affordable. Then the next area is electric buses. This is quite straightforward, providing public transport, enhancing public transport, and there are a number of BRT, bus rapid transit oriented development all over the world, and this has been a key issue or a key interest coming from Latin America. So instead of while we promote cleaner buses, so we are also introducing or supporting countries with electric buses. So this is another area. And we have a project to address black carbon. It's called Soot-Free Bus Project, funded by the Climate and Clean Air Coalition. And this involves 20 countries, and UNEP and the International Council for Clean Transport are involved in six cities. UNEP takes the lead in Nairobi, Accra, Lima, and Santiago. Basically, it is to promote clean diesel. However, we are also introducing electric buses as an option for these cities. So the outcome of this study will be released next year, and hope we will have some case studies to show and share with the others. And the third area is to promote fiscal policies to promote electric cars. So, excuse me. So we are supporting governments, and we use the structure of this global fuel economy initiative wherever we have country projects where we are promoting fuel economy standards and labeling schemes. We also provide these countries an option to look at policies for bringing in electric vehicles. So the focus is on fiscal reforms. And we have a list of up to 100 countries, and we are going in different phases for each year to work with countries. And I'm going to show you an example of 3 countries where we started working on the PCFE, then we worked with them on the Global Fuel Economy Initiative, and now we are continuing to work with them on electric mobility. This is Mauritius. Mauritius initially adopted a fee-based system. However, the system design was not giving the government enough sufficient revenue. Basically, they were losing money. So then they adapted into a new scheme for excise tax. So as you can see in the table, there are different percentage of taxes that is imposed for conventional, hybrid, and electric. And for new electric cars, there's actually 0% excise tax imposed. So this is sort of encouraging consumers to opt for cleaner cars or electric cars in this situation. Another example is Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka has the highest number of hybrid cars, and they have imposed fiscal tax on petrol, run and diesel cars more than 200%, whereas hybrid cars are only at 58%, and electric cars are imposed of 25% tax. So if you see the graph here, from 2008 to 2015, we can actually see how, because of this taxation, the increase in hybrid vehicles as compared to diesel and petrol car increase. And my last example is Thailand, which is a bit advanced in terms of they actually have a CO2 based taxation system, and for electric cars they have an excise tax of only 10% as compared to other fuel types. So here are the three examples, and I think this will give you a flat idea on how also it is like a seamless continuous improvement process in the transport sector, not only looking at in-use vehicles but also looking at new vehicles coming in, and how policies and fiscal reforms that is put in place today can actually shape the future of mobility to become more sustainable and cleaner in the future. So there's a lot of opportunities in developing countries, and since we're already working with SEDARE and also stakeholders have been involved in the GFEI work, so maybe this is something that could be considered for Egypt as well. Then our last area of work, which is sort of really sharing what we do in countries and cities with the other global initiatives on electric mobility. There are a lot of initiatives, especially from the Paris Declaration last year, leading up to this year. There are a lot of international initiatives to push electric mobility. We are part of them. We also, while we share information, we also get a lot of resources from these initiatives. So there is like a global push on this area of work. So in summary, what I would like to say is that there's environmental and social challenge from the transport sector is high, and it will continue to grow. So it's up to us to actually look at how this growth will take place. And these are the key messages. We always have an integrated approach of considering the social, economic, and the environmental consideration into transport decision-making process. And it's important to have an integrated approach like this avoid, shift, and improve approach. And I like the idea very much when SEDARE offered to actually integrate the findings of two projects under the theme of sustainable transport for Egypt. So these are excellent collaboration, I feel. And then it's also on the fuel and vehicle side to look at both new vehicles and also in-use vehicle hand in hand. So that's the end of my presentation. Thank you for your attention. I would like to welcome to have any follow-up questions to address it to my colleague David Rubia, whose email address is on the screen right now. Before I hand over to Ahmad, I would like to thank SEDARE for the excellent partnership and also working collaboration, not only in doing the substantive work for us, but also helping us out in other administrative aspects also. And also like to thank all the stakeholders in Egypt who had been involved and contributed to the findings of this study. Thank you very much, and I wish you all a fruitful session after this.